Well, this is part two of my book, Daddy, Where Are You? Healing the Child Within. So I thought I would start with the introduction. While thinking on the concept of a father's affection, I want to share what I found at psychologytoday.com. Roland Warren, father of two sons and a board member of the National Fatherhood Initiative. This is what he wrote. 4 things every son needs to know. Does my son know that he matters to me? Does my son know that I love him? Does my son know what he does is important to me? Does my son know how proud I am of him? And I put in, how many of us can say we know that our sons do? And I put daughters too. I know it's kind of seems to be a guy thing, but because I am. That's who I am. But I have 3 girls. And ladies need to know, young ladies need to know their love too. Anyway, information regarding types of fathers from Psychology Today, called Fathers and Sons. Father, the provider and success. This is what they say. His family should understand that their claims on his time came second best as he had gone to conquer the world. May grow up with the idea that father's life is his work, and his family should not expect anything more from him. This is what I wrote. How many of us have grown up not only doing this, but believing we are good breadwinners and thus a great dad? Now, maybe just, this may not apply to you. Father hunger. Life for most boys and for many grown men, then, is a frustrating search for the lost father who is not yet offered protection, provision, nurturing, modeling, or especially anointment. Now, this is our word. I wrote, how many of us have looked for, wanting to receive the affirmation we all desperately aspired and need? Or I should say needed. Need and need. Needed, you know what I'm saying. The myth of masculinity, the old fear of the too powerful father, and the new longing for a father to love and teach and anoint us. Again, this is what they say. Men feared being like their fathers. Beyond this fear of being just like him, we strive for and attain to have a positive relationship. If there was very little communication, this is what I read, then take time to do that. We can be the model by watching what we say, especially mirroring the words we choose to speak. Let me tell you, once spoken, they cannot usually be taken back. That's for sure. Only if we were strong enough to admit when we failed, to uplift them, and then the healing process can begin. That takes a real man, let me say that. Father the nurturer. Fathering makes a man. This is whatever is standing in the eyes of the world feels strong and good and important, just as he makes his child feel loved and valued. When we can prepare the next generation of men by helping them actually become better, by helping ourselves become better as well. I should rewrite that. We can, let me re-say that. We can prepare the next generation of men by helping them actually, when we help ourselves become better as well. Okay, psychologytoday.com, Boys Without Fathers. Fatherless boys inevitably suffer delinquent tendencies. Fatherless boys suffer from anger issues or depression. Fatherless men do not know how to be good fathers. You only know what you're taught, folks. You only know what you see, what you believe to be what is, or what the truth is. Just saying. When I walked around my environment, I chose to close myself off from being hurt anymore as a young boy. The sense of being alone, left behind, drove me to become the way I was. Hurt and bitter, and I succumbed myself to this. We choose to believe this is it. That was me. I believe rage, frustration, and lack of self-esteem are the triggers to the above-mentioned stats. Chapter 1. Our lineage is what I put. Father types. I will develop further on the type of pops we can have as well as mentioned in the introduction. The first is, of course, the father, the provider, and success. Typically, this means his dad's work. I said that. It's his life. His identity, all he is, can be wrapped around his ability to financially give what his family may need. A good home, food on the table, clothes to wear are some of the responsibilities we men can take on. Success at the job, can become more rewarding to him than what can be the challenges of a family. For some, the wife is expected to be the one handling the home front while he's out taking care of business. Let's see more on that. Father hunger can follow this, as he has low contact with the children as well as with his spouse. I've said before, if he works 8 hours a day, spends time travel to and back from work, the amount of time left can be very limiting. I personally spent 2 hours getting one job, arriving, and the same back home. That with 8 hours of the job left 12 hours, 7 hours, just hours of sleep. Whatever time was left, that's for sure. 7 or 8 hours of sleep is what it was. Mathematically leaving few precious spent moments with the family at all. And the days I spent working 12 hours one day, 18 the next, helped us get a house. But the family were left home alone. Just thought of that movie. I'm sure you've seen it. In this case. Anyway. Father to nurture is the last one. I look back now and say, there are no manuals or classes on fatherhood. Now, this is by no means an excuse for me. I thought vacation, holidays, and layoffs for me were the good times where I got to engage with my family. And as a construction worker, I had my winter times with lack of work. We took some time to at least go to Michigan, leaving early on a Saturday and returning late that night. This was one cost-cutting idea when the budget was tight. The downside was I took as much overtime as I could to use the extra income later. This usually did not work out somehow well, as our family was extended to 4 growing children. Though I made this decision to be the one who did bring home the bacon, and I had spoken to my wife that I wanted to be a stay-home mom, there were means that had us together share what was important to each of us as a couple. After going to counseling and these gatherings for couples helped me become aware of the need for me to change some of the ways I parented. And I should put, and be a husband. We'll put that in there. For me to articulate was not easy to do. There were, for me, many hidden hurts I did not want to share with anyone. My training, quote, from early innocence had me believe men do not show any emotion, especially, like crying. You put that in there. Or considered non-manly. Yeah. So, I'm just thinking, where are we at as far as time? Okay. Seeking day, my revelation. The first apprehension I had was to believe that God did love me. Beyond feeling accepted can be complicated by having, as my birth father did, or how my birth father was, I should say, or perhaps even, I've got to mention this, molested. For these situations can set the thought possibly as to how can God love me. It can be as we interact with our people around us, we find that it seems there is not much affirmation. Therefore, it can be hard to believe that God does. I only know the molestation from others that I have talked to, and just to say that. When left out by some here, it can easily lead to feeling of being rejected and feeling apart from God. Yet Romans 8:35 tells us nothing can separate us, including the rejection that no one can become a fear of receiving any at all. I remind myself that fear and faith cannot coexist. Well, let me say this. You can't have them both together. One rules or reigns. Trust me, I know this. One rules, pardon me while I write this, and reigns. And that's for sure. One of them will have me walk out life in a direction, either away from others and God. That's for sure. This was me as a young boy. At the age of about 2 years old, as my birth mother had gone to work. It was then when my care provider called about my being left with, for sure, her. And afterwards, I was taken by the local authorities to an orphanage. It was not until 1998 I had what I call a vision of me on the floor in a kitchen. I saw myself sitting there looking out towards the screen door as my mother had to leave for work. I understood somehow this was the last time I would see my birth mother. And I would not see her again until 1993, actually. I never realized that a sense of abandonment had gripped me back then. My mother confirmed the details of this event with my wife when she visited us back in 1993. It was then that I comprehended how I was impacted as to my thoughts and reactions to any person, again, including God. This event stayed with me, and every day I walked around unaware that I felt alone, left behind, wanting so much to be loved. Though as you read further that I had parents who chose me, took me as their son, cared for me and loved me, the struggle within me was still there. My real mom and dad is what I'm speaking of, just to say that. I mention this as we need to see the problem first, identify it, and then deal with it. That could be some steps. I have written on, as I said, stress and trauma, and the toll it takes on us mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I think I'm stopping here. Just